All right, all right, all right. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's doing well. I just need to do a quick mic check for you guys that are here in my office. Can I get somebody to come in here and give me a thumbs up that we're all good, volume wise, everything else? All good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right. Happy Friday, everybody. I want to welcome everyone to the Clear channel. For you guys that are new in our industry or new in our organization, I set up this YouTube channel almost 3 years ago now. We have over 450 videos that are on the channel, a ton of entrepreneurs, a ton of business people. At times I share some experience and maybe a little bit of wisdom about 20 years of entrepreneurship and 20 years of sales and leadership. If you're listening here today live, I know there's a few people in the audience today, different markets tend to jump on in the live recording. Please look to your left, please look to your right, and have someone new in the organization, new in the industry, or maybe it's new, just joining us live, to pull out their phone, go to YouTube, and please subscribe. You'll find hundreds of videos on there about people and their backgrounds and their stories of success and leadership. Some have started from absolutely nothing and have built multi-million-dollar organizations. So I want to cover today a little bit about entrepreneurship, a little bit about being a CEO. What is a CEO? What is an entrepreneur? So I Googled it and I pulled it up on my laptop here. And some of the things I looked at is, what do you need if you want to be an entrepreneur? Well, first of all, for anyone that doesn't know, you're already an entrepreneur. You're already a CEO. You're the CEO of your life. You make decisions every day on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Some of us in the world wake up and blame the world for what we have or don't have. Some of us in the world wake up and dream about opportunities and dream about a better future. And then we put together a plan of attack. We start leaning on our habits. We start leaning on the things that we need to do to move towards the things we want. And ironically, when I looked up, the question I asked Google is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, where do you start? And the first thing that comes up, it says a business plan. Weird. You have to actually plan if you want to accomplish something. It says map out every step of the process, including your financial background and management structure. The next thing you need to do is find funding. Secure capital through loans, grants, investors, savings, or a part-time job. Third thing you need to do is find a product. Find a profitable business idea by researching existing businesses and industries, then validate your idea with buyer persona research to ensure you have customers who actually want your product. Again, this is right off of Google, AI. Welcome to the new world we live in. Networking, number 4. Make connections with people who can help with all aspects of this business, such as employees, clients, industry leaders, so you're not going to be going just on your own. Management, develop an entrepreneurial mindset and consider taking management courses. And then lastly, finance, get a degree in finance to gain the knowledge in accounting, risk management, and corporate finance. So this is what Google tells you. If you have a dream someday of being an entrepreneur, being the CEO of a company, but again, these things apply to you right now. You as a human being, you and your life, you and your family, you and your day-to-day. And so what I want to share with you guys today is a bit about that journey, a bit about what it means, what it takes. Because I went through that journey almost 20 years ago to become an entrepreneur. I'll tell you some of the reasons why I did it. This is a big reason why I decided to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here. So presentation here, share screen. Let's see here. And I need a thumbs up here in the office if you're live. Can you come in and tell me if you can see this? Okay. So this is a big reason why I became an entrepreneur. USDebtClock.org. What is this? So what this is a website that was set up that tells the U.S., anyone that lives in America, anyone in the world really, Where people stand. You know, they say men and women lie, numbers don't. So a few things that stand out to me. Let's see here. Student debt, credit card debt. I don't even know what that number is. Is that a million, billion? It should be $1 trillion. I don't even know. It's a big number. Per person, $8,000, $38,000 in student debt. The average American. The stuff over here was really what got me. Median income in America right now is $39,000. The average home is $412,000. The average car is $51,000. And if you look down below, where is it? The average debt of a person. Where is it here? 43 million people living in poverty. Disclosures, Medicaid recipients, the bottom 50% of wealth. And maybe I'm just missing it. Average debt in America. Can somebody help me out here that's in the office? I'm trying to, if there's so many numbers and they're moving so quickly. Where is the average person in debt? What is that number? Bankruptcies. Okay, maybe there it is. Personal debt per citizen. The average person in America is $75,000 in debt. I want that to sink in for a second. The average person in the U.S. in the land of opportunity. The reason why my mom moved to America at 18 years old from Colombia, and the reason why most people move to America is for freedom. Freedom to do well, freedom to take care of their families. They don't have a government system or an organization where there's they don't have those chances. They don't have those opportunities. And so when I started looking at this stuff and understanding life and understanding business, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. I started to realize that, I think I stopped sharing my screen here, right? Yeah, I think so. I started to realize that average sucks in America. And I started thinking about, man, okay, I'm in my 20s. I grew up in South Florida. I played a ton of soccer. I got recruited to play soccer, Division I at Penn State. I'm finishing school, and September 11th happens. And a lot of my older college teammates that had the similar degrees as I was trying to get in business and international business and marketing, the companies they worked for were like Pfizer Pharmaceuticals and Merck, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Bain Consulting, PwC is PricewaterhouseCoopers. These are all big consulting companies or pharmaceutical companies, and they came in to recruit a lot of the athletes at Penn State. And when September 11th happened, it was literally my career fair day, my fifth year, September 11th, the day that I thought I was going to go to the Bryce Jordan Center and find a position. And I found myself 4.5 years into my degree, because I did the extra half lap, had a good time. And about to graduate, and companies were saying, sorry, that resume, that 4.5 years of school, and thankfully I had soccer scholarships paying for a lot of it. But if I hadn't, it would have been hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, because Penn State's not cheap, especially out of state. Sorry, that piece of paper that you got, which actually hangs right here behind my desk, is not good enough. You need experience. You need to gain real life experience. And my biggest challenge was, how am I going to get experience if no one's willing to offer it? Most companies like Merck and Pfizer and some of these other ones, based on their hiring freezes and the change in the economy and the change in the world with what happened September 11th, they said, you need 2 years of experience. You need 4 years of experience. And again, I just found myself in this place where I had a degree. I felt like a lot to offer the workforce. And then no one was, I wasn't finding anyone that was willing to offer that experience. And so it's interesting because I sent my resume out in a lot of different organizations, a lot of different companies, and the same feedback. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for, looking at my resume. Thanks for considering us. Call us in 2 years. We're not hiring right now. And then a small sales company in New Jersey gave me a call. And I went in for an interview with now one of my best friends, but with a guy by the name of Michael. And Sessions sat with me, owned a small sales company in New Jersey. He said, we do outside sales for energy companies. I'm looking for salespeople. And we have a sales system. We have a training system. We have a training onboarding plan. We're a systematic, sales training where you can learn how to deal with customers, small business. I'm 22 years old. I have no experience. And he says, I'll teach you everything from the ground floor. We'll teach you the fundamentals. We'll teach you the basics. What I can't handle, what I can't change in people, what you have to bring to the table, if we were to hire you, because I didn't have any experience, is work ethic, is an incredible attitude. And because I didn't have experience, he said, you may have to come in early. You may have to stay late. You may have to do extra to get things down. There's people in our company that have 10, 15 years of sales experience. They've been in the industry. They've been in different businesses. And I just told him in that interview that I had, I said, listen, if you give me a chance, I will not let you down. I won't. I was raised by again, Hispanic mom. I played a ton of soccer. I have accolades in sports. I will outwork anyone in your office. And, I'm sure being someone who does hiring and things, I'm sure he's heard things like that before. And, they ended up being full of shit, which is, there's an old saying, your actions speak so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. It's one of my favorite sayings in life. And, but I backed it up. I drove an hour one way to work. And I decided to commit literally my first day in the business when I met the team. And my commitment was that I was going to play full out. I was going to do whatever it took to do well. And the reason I was so committed early in this opportunity and early in my sales career was because my dad, when I told him it was straight commission, outside sales, he was a little concerned. He thought I wasn't going to be very good. And he said something to me that kind of like jab a little bit, but love and support at the same time. He just kind of said, it's sales and it's based on performance. I guess we'll find out really quick if you're any good. And he said, don't call me for money. And I'm like, shit, oh man. And the reality is my back was against the wall. I had, less than $100 in my bank account. I was new into my career. And I had to make it work. I wasn't interested in working in a bar. I wasn't interested in serving. I wasn't interested in working in an industry and a career that had no upward mobility and no career path. And I'll tell you, early in sales is not easy. But when you work and when I worked in a business that was based on performance, I learned very quickly the fundamentals of being a CEO. The fundamentals of being an entrepreneur, because it was based on me. It was based on my effort. It was based on my attitude. It was based on my student mentality. It was based on how much effort I put into learning business. So when it came to a business plan, the interesting thing was, I had no idea it was going to work out the way it's worked out. And Michael ended up being the investor in my company, and he gave me the capital to start my business. And he helped me get clients. So the business plan and the things I talked about, if you Google what it means to be an entrepreneur, that these are things, the funding, I got it. I didn't have to take out loans. I didn't have to take out grants. I didn't have to, get a part-time job and save up my money and invest it in the business. He was the investor. I was 23 years old when I started my first company. And the interesting thing was, you talk about product. He had relationships with companies that I could sell their product. Again, I was 23 years old. Going out and representing a telecom company like the client I have now is one of the biggest brands on the planet. So it's like, and working in now, we're in retail stores and some of the biggest big box stores on the planet. right? So all of those things, it was interesting that stuff kind of fell into my lap based on my relationship with him and his relationship with his partners. And then think about networking and learning business and getting the schooling. It talks about taking courses. The year and a half that I worked with him before I became an entrepreneur, that was my MBA. That was my management training. That was me developing the skills and the ability to start my first company. So the idea of hiring someone, I got involved in the HR process. I recommended talent. The easiest way to learn if you're good at recruiting or recommending talent is you hire someone and then you start training them. And when they're not very good or they don't follow through in the things that they said they were going to do in the interview, and then they start realizing, oh man, I got to get better at hiring better talent. I got to get better at the HR process. I've learned in 20 years of doing business, the hardest part about getting somebody great in sales is hiring the right person. It's not hard to get people great in sales when they're incredible people. It's hard to get people great in sales when you hire people that are lazy, that don't have follow through, that are, not willing to commit to things, that constantly change jobs in the past. And then they start a job that takes commitment, right? They start an opportunity where, hey, you're going to get recognized for your performance, but you're also going to be held accountable, right? So if people are in the clock in, clock out mentality and they're just kind of getting a job just because their parents told them to, well, the idea of working in sales or in a business where you can make $1,000 in a day or $10,000 in a week or whatever, and where there's no cap, then yeah, there's also the other side of things. There's results that don't happen when you don't work hard. If people are a roller coaster of emotions, right? That's a challenge. You can tell about people, and oftentimes you tell in their first 30 days in any opportunity. I remember when I played soccer at Penn State, every single year, our coach would tell us, yeah, we got a few guys coming in. This guy was an All-American. This was a top 5 recruit. This guy was, and everyone got, talked up. This guy played for, this team internationally. We recruited him from Sweden. We recruited him from Brazil. We recruited him from blah, blah. And they had like these teams that you would know from being in international soccer. Teams like, Corinthians in Brazil is a team that somebody came from. And then they come into preseason, and in their first 30 days, they wouldn't be able to keep up because they got a few hits in practice, right? And their attitude shifted. It's kind of funny. I was in a soccer game recently in my old man's league I play in, and no joke, there was a guy that got subbed off the field. He's a good player. He's actually one of the top 2 or 3 players in the field, and he got subbed off, and he walked off the field and took off his shoes. He's like, I don't feel like playing anymore. We're like, man, you act like my 10-year-old when he gets subbed off the field. You're talented, but your attitude sucks. And at one point, the coach or one of the guys that runs the team goes, hey, if your attitude like this, just go home, leave. And that's how I feel about people. Sometimes we hire them, right? We hold them accountable. We work hard with them, help them get good. And then they, have a sour mindset about things. It happens sometimes. So, I need a thumbs up here in the office. I heard my earpiece kind of turn off a little bit and that little clicking noise. Can you guys still hear me okay? Is all good? Let me see. All good. Okay. Thank you, sir. Sorry. All right. So entrepreneurship. So I want to tell you about the first year of being an entrepreneur, what it could be like for you. If you choose to be a CEO, not just of your life, but if you choose to be a CEO of a company, the first thing I would think about someday, if you want to be an entrepreneur, is think about your business name and think about what it means and do something that moves you into action. I personally have named my company 2313-2313. It's a brand that I branded my original company in something else, but I rebranded about 10 years ago. And the story behind my brand is around hope. I've figured out over the years that my personal mission is to help change the world one leader at a time. I believe through the industry that I'm in, through the program we've developed here in our organization, through the impact, the influence, the daily trainings, the sales, the support, the example we have in our leadership team. I believe we take care of people in a way that they make subtle changes, and it's the ripple effect. And if we can help that one person do something positive, I know that it's going to be positive for their lives, positive for their families. I know that's going to happen. But 2313 is the day that my son was born, my oldest, February 3rd, 2013. The backstory is 4 months prior, 11/15/2012, is when my mom passed away from cancer. She'd been fighting cancer for many years. She initially had breast cancer. She'd beaten it initially. It went into remission for a period of time. Unfortunately, it came back in bone cancer and just kind of took over, which was just awful. And an awful experience for my whole family, for our friends, for people that really cared about us as a family. At the same time, that year, 2012, we'd found out my father had come down with liver cancer. He had some surgery some previous years. He had something behind his eye. They'd taken it out, some bad cells, and then eventually went down to his liver. During that time, my brother and I made some, kind of major decisions to get him into some care into the Boston area, some experts and some trial things. And it is what it is. In December, I took weeks off of work because I was an entrepreneur, because I had complete control of my life and my time. I went and spent 3 weeks with my father in a special care facility. And I'll tell you, it was an amazing, amazing experience. My dad and I not only became really best buddies in those last months, but he also said things to me around build that damn business so big that you create total freedom, where you can do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. Being that he was an engineer and he worked for a company for 39 years before he retired, there was times that he had to work. There's times that he couldn't be at the soccer games. There's times that he couldn't be at the different experiences he wanted to be at. And so that was a big moment for me, and a big, awful moment, to be real. But an incredible moment that I had the time and I had the ability to do it. Obviously, at the same time, being that February 3rd was when my son was born, my wife was pregnant in California. She couldn't travel. She couldn't even travel to my mom's funeral because it was kind of too late in the pregnancy to be safe. And, we had some incredible people show up for us as a family during that time and help us get through it. But my father passed away on February 2nd, 2013. The very next day, my son was born. And so what I decided to do a few months later, going through all that pain, and the reality was it took me years to get through that pain. What I decided to do is rebrand my business, rebrand my entire life around the future, around hope, and around creating the life that you want and making a difference and building a legacy. So 2313 is around that. So the first thing I would do is I would think, if you ever want to be an entrepreneur, I'd think about something that's deeply meaningful for you. And if someday you want to run a business, write the name down. Think about it and get behind it. Neat thing we did recently here from 2313. One thing I love doing is I love giving back. We were sponsored last week, actually, in the Butterfly Charities golf tournament down in South Florida. We've been sponsoring this charity for 4 years now. It helps. There's two pieces of the organization. There's an orphanage in Belize that there's 40 children that unfortunately don't have families and don't have parents that have been abused in a lot of awful ways. And myself and a few of our partners have come together a few years back, and we've been taking care of that orphanage for a while now. And I live my values through my business. I know that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. I wanted to be in the 1%, and I encourage you all to want to be in the 1% of the planet because you can do more. I know some people say money is the root of all evil. People have like crazy, stupid sayings like that, and people have money aren't great people and whatever. What I believe is if you're an asshole and you have money, it'll show at a high level. But if you're an incredible human being and you have options and you have cash, it'll also show at a high level, and you can make a huge difference in people's lives. But let me tell you, that first year of ownership, that first year of entrepreneurship was really hard. was really hard. The statistics say in entrepreneurship that majority of companies go out of business. 90 some percent, 94%, I think is one of the latest stats. And then within 3 years, majority of companies go out of business because there's obviously challenges with the bankroll. There's challenges with finances. There's challenges with employees. There's challenges with, the services, the products, the things evolve. And I'll tell you, I remember when I started my company, I had 6 people. I had some salespeople. I was the recruiter. I was the administrator. I was a sales manager. I was the sales rep. I was everything. And I worked 7 days a week, 12, 15 hours a day, getting the business off the ground. Right? And why did I do it? Is because I had a vision of being in complete control of my life at a young age. And I think a lot of times people want to be entrepreneurs because they don't want to have a boss, right? They want to grow and they want to be in control. And again, it takes a lot of responsibility. Now, the neat thing about entrepreneurship is if you find the right opportunity and you find the right product line, then you can build relationships. You can network with people, right? So in the industry that I'm in and that I became an entrepreneur in, there's a lot of partners across the country that I have relationships with now, as I'm now a mentor. I'm an investor now because I've helped other people start companies in this industry. And, we have a network of people that people can learn and they can meet, they can learn, they can grow. And so they have support, right? Most people that start companies, they start a burger place. There's a chicken place right down the road that just started. And I met the owner. The kid's 24 years old. He got an investment from his father. And I happened to be in there with my kids. And I met him. I said, hey, who's the owner here? He goes, I am. I was like, oh, nice to meet you. How old are you? He's like 24. I was like, that's awesome. Where'd you get the capital to start the business? And he said, oh, my father has a few different restaurants and things. He gave me the capital to start. And I'm like, I've been in here a few times and I see you making the sandwiches. I see you taking the orders. I'm an entrepreneur too. Just 20 years, removed from starting my business. And I said, good for you. Good for you. And he goes, yeah, I'm hustling. I'm just hustling. I just don't want to go out of business. I know it's all about the first 5 years and getting past that 5-year mark. I'm saving my money. I'm not buying crazy cars. I'm not doing whatever. I'm like, that's awesome. You got the right mindset. That's the beginning of it. So my point today, guys, and I'm going to be wrapping things up, is someday if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to get the freedom, the opportunities, and everything in a business, just remember before you ever have a chance or you should ever go into that type of responsibility where you actually employ and manage and lead people, because that's a part of being an entrepreneur and take care of people, is it has to start with you first. It has to start. It absolutely starts with you first. The reason why because companies go out of business. Companies do not last. It's unfortunate. And especially with the economic changes in the last 5 years, COVID, I think was a prime, it was an interesting world where bad companies went out of business really fast because they didn't have the structure, they didn't have the leadership, they didn't have the financial strength, they didn't have anything. Good companies limped through COVID. They barely made it. And great companies changed the game. Great companies changed the game in the industry they're in. They made some critical moves. They got aggressive. They actually, instead of putting people on, there's a lot of companies that furloughed their people and made them get government assistance to get them through the time. And then there's organizations like us that were so financially strong that we took care of our people and we invested time. We actually trained our people. We spent that 3 to 6 months of kind of downtime, and we actually had some people that we had an interesting little project going on that we kept working, but that's really turned out today. And you guys in our industry are listening today, you know what I'm talking about. But we spent a lot of time developing our people and investing more in our people because we knew it was going to turn around, and we knew it was going to be our catalyst and our catapult to even take on more and more business long term. So, but remember, if you ever want to be the CEO of a business, it starts with you. And I would evaluate yourself of all your strengths and your weaknesses. I'd encourage you to get in front of a coach, I'd encourage you to get in front of someone in your life. Maybe it's in your industry, maybe it's in your business, maybe it's if you're here in our organization, maybe it's someone that's in a management position. But someone, you should get feedback from someone that's 10, 15, 20 years ahead of you. And they can give you a lot of perspective on some things to do, some things to avoid. But at the end of the day, it's up to you about the life that you want to build, the life that you want to have, and the things you want to accomplish. So I encourage you to be an entrepreneur. I think it's an incredible path. I think it's not for the faint of heart. I believe it's a huge challenge, and it's definitely tough. But I can tell you, in my personal opinion, it is absolutely worth it. So happy Friday. You guys have an amazing week. And thanks for joining us today live on the Clear Channel. Take care, guys.